she had what we would call it. And her it is extraordinary. Her it's got us tripping, I must admit. What is it? Well, I'm glad you asked. But let me suggest something, fellas. If you ever see it and it's available, do yourself a favor, make her your wife. You see, it is confidence. It's an air, it is pride. It knows how to handle adversity. It takes things in stride. Now I'm talking about it. It cannot be inherited, nor is it willed, and it's not genetic. Just because your mother had it doesn't mean that it will grace you. I promise you, I've seen some ladies who thought they had it and they didn't have a clue. Now I'm still talking about it.
Hello, I'm Hank Stewart, and you're watching Kenn Coxx Now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to Kenn Coxx Now. Of course, I'm your host, Kenn Coxx, and on the show with me today, we have a very talented poet. His name is Hank Stewart. Welcome to the show, Hank.
Thank you, Kenn. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
Hank, I was doing my research. I always do my research on my guest that's going to be on the show, and I pulled up your site, man, and I saw all of the things that you're doing. I've never seen a poet. I've had the privilege of working with a few poets, but I've never seen a poet that performs on the level that you perform.
Wow. Thank you. Well, I'm blessed. I'm extremely talented. I'm extremely blessed to have the opportunities in some of the platforms that I've had an opportunity to perform on.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I wanted to talk about some of the platforms that I've actually seen you do. Most poets, they perform in nightclubs, wherever they can get an open mic.
Right.
But you have had the privilege of performing for some of the most distinguished guests in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
First Lady Michelle Obama. Tell me what that was like.
Well, I mean, I've had the opportunity to perform for the First Lady, Nancy Pelosi, who was the Speaker of the House at the time. Had an opportunity to perform for Ms. Rosa Parks years ago before she transitioned.
Yeah.
And Ruby Dee, Harry Belafonte, Dr. Joseph Lowry, I mean, just the list goes, Ambassador Young, the list goes on and on and on. The First Lady was the First Lady's Luncheon. It was the 102nd First Lady's Luncheon. Yeah. And I had an opportunity to be her entertainment at that luncheon. Wow. So that was an opportunity I would never forget. I mean, just to get an opportunity to talk to her, but not only talk to her, but perform for her. So it was amazing.
And see, that's what I'm saying. A lot of poets, they perform in nightclubs or venues where, and there's nothing wrong with that, you have to get your start. But your style and your material has elevated you to a plateau that no other poets are doing.
Well, I mean, and again, it's a blessing. I always call myself the liaison between heaven and paper. It has nothing to do with me.
Okay.
You know, God has just given me some tremendous platforms, and so I want to, like Gandhi said, I want to be the change that I want to see. So I try to write about things, love, historical, spiritual, civil rights, and I try to just make sure that I'm not a one-dimensional type writer. Yeah. And so I write across the board, and I think that's what's keeping me working and giving me some unique opportunities. To be the first poet to ever grace the main stage at the Essence Festival is pretty, tremendous. I've had an opportunity to do poems for McDonald's, like for their Black. I helped coin their phrase 365 Black, and the Trumpet Awards. Miss Clayton, her opened up and performed with several people. So it's just been. We can drop names all day long, but basically the real deal is that we wanted to make sure we did something that represented men properly.
Okay. Well, I understand that we shouldn't name drop. But the reason I'm harping on the names is because of the arena that for you to perform for that caliber of people. That's why I love name dropping.
Right.
And we're going to do a lot of name dropping on this show. I'm going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Hank Stewart.
I know why you don't feel good, sweetheart. It's because you need a little bit of chocolate. Chocolate can improve your circulation. It can feed that craving and that temptation. Girl, what you really need is a little bit of chocolate. It can lower your blood pressure. Or it might take it off the chart. It can soothe you on a night that's hot. But girl, what you really need is a little bit of chocolate. Now, study shows chocolate has other health benefits.
Hello, I'm Kenn Coxx, gospel comedian. Since the release of my first comedy DVD was such an overwhelming success, it literally demanded that I do it again. And so I did. And if you think the first one was funny, You gonna have to fight your mama over this one. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kenn Coxx. And I know they were seraphim because they had 6 wings. And with 2 they covered their face. And with 2 they covered their feet. And with 2 they did fly. And as I was driving underneath, you could hear one crying to the other, holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And I tried to play like I didn't hear that. Have you ever been stuck in rush hour traffic, forced to listen to crazy DJs? Well, guess what? I Know a Sign When I See a Sign is now on CD. That's right, you get the CD or the DVD for $12.95. The CD $12.95, the DVD $12.95. How do you get it? Just go to KennCoxx.com. That's KENNCOXX.com. Press PayPal, and for $12.95, we'll rush the CD and or the DVD straight to your doorstep. And if you wear my t-shirts to my concerts, you get in absolutely free. Now that's a sign, and I know a sign when I see a sign. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we were talking just a moment ago, Hank, about a lot of the venues that you performed in. We were coming in from the airport, and you was telling me the story of how you got to perform on Essence, the Essence Festival.
Yeah, I was, and I never forget, I always, you and I had this conversation along with the mic, and I said, you know, we have to teach our young people that you give it your best in whatever you're doing. You give it the best, you go out and you prepare for it, and you perform at your absolute best. I was hosting an open mic back in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'll never forget this. And normally, in this open mic, I would have probably about 20 poets on the list, well, 20 performers. It would be singers, poets, comedians, whatever, and they would sign up on the list. The list would always pack out. The venue would always pack out. This particular day, it was pouring down rain. I mean, it had rained almost all day long. So I only had 3 poets and about 5 or 6 people that showed up to the event. And the 5 or 6 people paid to get in. So you can't cheat them. You got to give them your absolute best. And so I was trying to figure out, how am I going to stretch this 2.5-hour show with 3 poets and 5 people? So I would call a poet, and then I would do a whole set of poems between there. And I call another poet, and I do another set of poems. And so at the end, this young lady walked up to me and she said, "Man, you are absolutely amazing. Your poetry is great." She says, "Have you ever done the Essence Festival before?" And I said, "No, I have not." She says, "I'm going to get you in front of the Coca-Cola company." And I did that, and I always tell people, you never know, had I gone into that room and said, well, it's only 3 people, I'm going to cheat them, I'm not going to give them my best, I would have never had that opportunity. And so, you know, I always encourage young people, give it your best, no matter what you're doing.
Now, I've heard a very popular minister, he preached divine arrangements. And because the rain came down, the people didn't show up, the people that were supposed to have been in that room that night were there. You know, that was a divine arrangement, man. And so you ended up doing the Essence Festival, and from there you ended up doing the main stage.
Yeah, I did end up doing that. I was initially hired to do the press conference, which is really big at the Essence Festival, if you know anything about it, because their press conference is where all of the sponsors show up. And at that particular time, it was their opportunity to woo Susan Taylor and Ed Lewis, who were the principals. And so they brought me in as a special woo factor, and so it was amazing. And so from that, because it went over so well, ended up doing the Magic Johnson piece, and all the way to the main stage. I think I was between India Arie and it was, I can't remember, it was India Arie and someone who was performing that day, and it was really cool because Jamie Foxx was there, and a whole bunch of folks, Steve Harvey, you know, so it was, but you never know, man, you never know what God has planned for you.
Yeah, you know, the Word of God says, your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. And for just the names that you just mentioned, is why I like the name drop, because those are the great men that God said that I would put you in that arena, and you belong there. I was listening to some of your poetry online, and I had never heard of you. And when I got the call that we were going to work together, I went online and I started looking at your stuff, And it was just amazing because I expected to see a poet doing poetry. And you do it all. I mean, you have the big screen and the videos, and you just put so much into it. What are you after? What are you trying to do?
Well, we had this conversation also. There's not a nationally acclaimed African-American male poet alive right now.
Yeah.
When you start thinking of a poetry, you think of Nika Giovanni, Sonia Sanchez. We just had the transition of Maya Angelou a couple of years ago.
Right.
There's not a whole lot. You don't have the Langston Hughes, Paulus Dunbars anymore. And so, my goal is to continue to elevate, because I think we have not made literature and literary sexy among our young people. And it directly ties into even education when you're talking about in school. So for me, I want to continue to put the best foot forward that I have, and so our young men can say, well, I want to be a poet like this young man, or our sister can see the positive. Everything doesn't have to be negative. We're not always talking about you and your body. We're talking about the essence of your beauty. Right. So my goal is to continue, man, to try to change and widen that lane and expand and chart new territories. I mean, roads that have never been walked out. I want to hit those, in the form of a poet.
Now, you said something interesting. You said, I want to make it sexy again, or make it sexy. Why does it have to be sexy?
Well, I think, that whole sex sells, and I think it draws the attention of young people. Athletes and athletics draws the attention of young people. Entertainment draws the attention. So, kind of like, when I said this before to you, when you don't feel good, sometimes you have to take the castor oil, but in the castor oil you put you put it in orange juice. The orange juice makes it sexy. The castor oil is what makes you feel better. And so I try to make sure that you have to draw the attention of our young people, and that's so very important. And so the poems have an opportunity to, I have the opportunity from the poetic standpoint to really just say things in a way that they can appreciate it in the form of rap form, but yet give them some substance.
Yeah, fantastic. Listen, we're going to take another real quick break, and then we're going to come back, because you said something to me earlier. You said, when I got here, the first thing I should have done was went to a school to talk to children. I want to talk about that when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. This is Kenn Coxx now.
I wanted it to be a night to remember. Now it started with me running your bathwater. Now I strategically placed candles everywhere so that I could see the lights from the candles bouncing off your body. There was a basket of fresh fruit to our left, cherries, grapes, and strawberries. There was a bottle of chilled wine to our right, Riesling, all baby, the music playing was beautiful.
Hi, I'm Kenn Coxx, gospel comedian. Since the release of my first comedy DVD was such an overwhelming success, I wanted to personally say thank you to you, and to God be the glory. And for those of you who haven't gotten a copy yet, you got to catch up, because Volume 2 is about to come out. Just go to KennCoxx.com. That's KENNCOXX.com. Press PayPal, and for $12.95 we'll send a copy straight to you. Now that's a sign, and I know a sign when I see a sign. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we're in the studios today with the legendary Hank Stewart, and I'm calling him legendary because there are no other poets out there that's doing it the way you're doing it.
Thank you.
We were talking earlier. You said when you first came in, you should have told the promoter, take me to a high school. High school, junior high school?
Yeah, middle school, elementary, it doesn't matter. Just put me in front of some young people. I think that as entertainers, we have a responsibility. Okay. We have a responsibility to be in front of our young people. We have a responsibility to give back. Yeah. I mean, and it's not because we need to go in there as if they owe us something. No, that's our responsibility as entertainment, as leaders. We're losing our kids to gun violence and all this, and we're graveyard silent. You know what I mean? And a lot of our churches are graveyard, not all of them, but some of our churches are graveyard silent right now. And so we've got to be real honest about this. We're losing a generation, and we've lost it on our watch.
Now, before you go too far, the scriptures tell us that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And I'm listening to what's coming out of your heart, and so I see where your passion is. I've looked at your poetry. You have a lot of love songs, a lot of love poetry, a lot of political satires. So you have a complete genre. But since I have been talking to you today, I feel a lot of passion coming from you, because it's almost like you are offended at what is going on in our political arena.
Yeah, I'm mad. I think we all should be mad.
Yeah.
We should be mad. And I'm not talking about parties. Forget about party lines. You know, I'm talking about purpose.
Yeah.
You know, I no longer want to be, you know, I'm not worried about being successful. I want to be significant.
Yeah.
You know, there's a difference between, you know, you can be successful all day long and have no significance,
Yeah.
and not give back and not have any true tie to our community. What good is that? You know, you know, my son, I want my son to look at me and be proud of me as his father. You know, the children that are around, my family, you know, my friends, I want them to look at me. I want to have some significance. Forget about success. Success will come with significance, but significance don't always come with success. I start doodling on a sheet of paper, and the very first poem that God ever blessed me with was real simple, but it was very prophetic, and it says, Lord, there's times when nothing is going right. Lord, there's times I can't find anything good to talk about. Lord, there's times when I cry. I wonder, do you hear me, Lord? There's times I fall, and I wonder, did you see me? Can you hear me, Lord? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Just give me a sign. And very softly he spoke to my heart. He told me about Calvary, and this is what he said. He said, hey, do you know they slapped me across my face?
Yeah.
Because I heard your cry. They pierced me in my side because I heard your cry. They spit on me because I heard your cry, and I died on a Friday because I heard your cry. But I rose on a Sunday because I heard your cry. Not by trying to give it all, simply because I heard your cry. First thing that I ever wrote. So I started writing every day after that.
Really?
And it grew into not only poetry but books. And then at the time we would listen to cassette tapes, so I put it on cassette tapes, and then went to CD and all sorts. But it was just for me. That was the day that I discovered my purpose. Miles Monroe once said, "The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but the greatest tragedy in life is knowing why you're living."
Yeah.
And that was the day that I discovered why I was living.
A lot of people have spoken into your life. That's why I see so much coming out of your heart. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, man. God bless you.
Held a glass of wine to your mouth as you began to drink from it slowly. Slowly I began to caress your breast, and your breast was so beautiful with the waters massaging the nipples erect, and I thought there was only one place for them. That was my mouth, so I put them in. I began to suck them slowly and softly, not hard, not fast. You see, I was not in a hurry. We had the rest of our lives. Now my hands began to search for the goal of your body, and it finds it. Now I couldn't tell if you were wet because of the water, but I could tell that you were warm. Your body responded. It's responding to my touch. The music is playing.